All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we are at the Area 51 Cup Series here at Sonoma in wine country in California. I say drivers make their qualifying laps right now, so I say we'll let them make those happen. I say obviously first got to go over our point standings right now. Kevin DeBrown is not here this evening, so say that points lead will be changing. But you can see going into tonight was a 3 point difference between himself and Larry Yingling, so obviously he's going to swing backwards a little bit there. Chad Wilkes with his run, say dropped a little bit there, back to third position, but still in a really good spot. Again, top eight's going to be what everybody's going to be eyeing here. Then you got Ryan Kelly, Brandon Pastelacqua, Andrew Pleshy, Skylar Brown, and Robbie Richards are the top eight. However, just outside that window are the one of our defending champions, Maxwell Caldwell. Gabe Butler's right there in 10th as well, Todd Merkel. So I say there's still a lot of drivers really close to that 8th position. So some drivers missing tonight's event could really shake up the points battle going into the once we get to the final regular season side of things here. So unfortunately, like I said, a few drivers not here this evening. So we do know for a fact, though, Kevin and Brown was able to make it out west here, Dale. Say he was able to go visit some vineyards, but say I'm not sure if he got lost or just decided he liked the vineyard more and decided just to hang out over there. So say unfortunately, say Kevin won't be racing here this evening, but hopefully he enjoys himself in wine country and doesn't enjoy it too much though.
Yeah, I know I talked to Kevin about this extensively. He's not a big fan of road courses, so any opportunity for him to find another way to enjoy his evening in California, he definitely going to take. And it also, I think, it shows a level of confidence within him. We saw how close this points race was last season, and for him to take a week off, he's got to be pretty confident he's going to be able to bounce back.
Yeah, exactly right. So I'm also going to pull up our track map here of the of Sonoma Raceway. So say we're running the classic version of Sonoma that some of you may be familiar with. Or say where we don't use the carousel. So you can see there right around you get to 3A instead of going to 4, you go straight to 4A. And so yeah, so definitely shortens the track a fair bit. Say it's just over or just under, I should say, 2 miles. However, lap time is going to be up in the 116 for Q laps, up more likely into about the 120s or so once race trim gets underway here. So race distance is going to be 40 laps. Cautions are off, just be local yellows only. So qualifying is going to be very important here to try to get the best starting position you can. And then, of course, from there, just to make sure no mistakes on your laps here. So I think that's going to really be kind of the main thing for tonight. I think is just going to try to keep that car clean, keep it out of the kitty litter. And then just try to make it on strategy here, which I say fuel-wise, it can be a one-stopper, Dale. But with that tire wear, I don't know if maybe a two-stopper might be in the cards for some drivers if they maybe start burning that right rear off a little bit. So we'll see, kind of have to keep an eye and see what everybody's strategies are. But I'm suspecting probably that window will be around that lap. I'd say like 19 to 21, give or take a lap or two. I think that's going to be probably the prime window where you'll see most drivers hit their pit stops.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he kind of nailed it there, in my opinion, at least. The winning strategy is going to be exactly that, the person who can manage the rear tires the most. And I got an idea on who I think it's going to be. I don't want to say anything and give him a curse, but I know of one driver in particular who really strives at these types of racetracks on these road courses and is really a master at tire management when it comes to turning left and right.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, that's going to be really the big key here tonight. It's going to be hitting those laps, hitting those corners just right. Say not overdriving the turns, making sure you don't overshoot the entries or exits, things like that. And it's a little bit of everything here. I mean, you got to make sure you don't get too hot on the entry, lock up the tires. But at the same time, too, you can't obviously get too greedy on the throttle on the exit because it's just going to roast those rear tires. So you're gonna have your brake bias set right as well, because if you get too much to the rear, you're gonna get that wheel hop, and you're gonna be along for the ride as well. So these drivers, like I said, are gonna be very, very busy tonight behind the wheel. I'll say we'll definitely hop on board of some drivers during the race tonight to see kind of how they're able to manhandle this track here.
Looking around at these qualifying time for the people who have turned laps so far, pretty substantial difference in time of about 4 seconds between drivers. And one of the things, I don't think that says a whole lot, necessarily that a person's going to be slower during the race, but I definitely saw quite a few people struggling a little bit on their qualifying laps.
Yeah, it's such a balance, especially in qualifying. You want to give it all, but if you mess up somewhere, you're gonna you're gonna cost yourself just seconds just by making some small mistake. For instance, if you overshoot the hairpin, I mean, that's probably one of the most critical turns on this track. If you underdrive it, you're gonna lose time. If you overdrive it, you're gonna lose time. So you just have to really nail the entries and exits, and I think that's gonna be something that that we're gonna be seeing here tonight. And I believe pretty much everybody that's gone has finished up their laps here. However, we've still got a little bit of time left in practice, or in qualifying, I should say. So we'll let everybody finish that up here. You can see Ryan Kelly has finished his lap, so he's just making a couple extra here just to probably get a little bit more of a feel and make sure he knows what that car is going to be doing later on in the run. So I'll say we'll hop on and watch that 13 car as he comes around the track here. But another thing, Dale, is the curbs here. You can hit the curbs and you can actually use them to your benefit. But there's times where you hit them, they will really upset your car if you hit too much or too aggressively. So that's going to be another thing these guys are going to have to watch out for.
Yeah, and just like you said, you can use them, but if you get a little too much curb or you come in a little hot, it's definitely a fine line to making a perfect corner here, and then or upsetting a race car and ending up in the fence.
Yeah, exactly right. So the one thing these guys do have in their pocket that they hope to not have to use, but will definitely have it available for them, is going to be that one fast repair tonight. So basically, if I go in the approach of this, my thought process is going to be, okay, try to keep the car clean, save the fast repair if at all possible till the first scheduled pit stop. If you need it, then use it. However, if maybe you just have a little bit of damage or something along those lines, that's where you just go ahead and you save that fast repair just in case something worse happens to you, and then kind of just save it for basically like an inopportune mistake or something like that. So we'll have to see what the strategy is for these guys though tonight. All right, so let's go pull up our starting grid for tonight. And it may be a 1 minute 16.701 here. So I'll say you think about you're going around this track again, 2 miles here, road course, 0.006 of a second difference between Logan Helt and Chad Wilkes for that pole position. Logan just edging out that 17 again. I feel like Chad was probably one of the guys that a lot of drivers are going to have their fingers pointed at, that he's going to be the one to beat. I'm trying to remember, I don't know if Logan ran Watkins Glen, so it'll be fun to see what kind of road course prowess he's got tonight. Larry Yingling, he's there in that third position. Maxwell Caldwell fourth. Ryan Kelly rounds out our top 5. 6th through 8th here, you got Andrew Pleshy, Brandon Pasalacqua, and Quabi Brooks. And then 9th through 16th, you've got Gabe Butler, Michael Spell, Lewis Woodall, Todd Merkel. And then 4 drivers opting to start from the back here are Robbie Richards, Josh Schofner, Roy Grandy, and Kyle Hess. And then last driver taking the grid here tonight is the number 33 of Nicholas Winnock. He's going to start in 17th position in that 33. Actually, I think that's one of the things, if you either want to be up front or you want to be all the way in the back. So I think Nick here probably pretty happy about starting shotgun tonight.
Yeah, not a bad strategy. And you go to any of the other tracks pretty much that we go to, and that's not necessarily what you'd want to do, but somewhere like this or Watkins Glen, when guys are uncertain, especially when you're comparing last season to this season. We didn't do any road courses. The schedule's a lot different, so you got guys that are uncertain of the car, uncertain of the track, and to be starting back here in the rear and able to see everything in front of you, I don't think it's a bad choice at all.
And it looks like we also have a little bit of strategy. See right there, pops up in the pits, that number 1 of Gabe Butler. He's going to opt to start from pit lane here tonight. So he's maybe worried about that turn 1, lap 1 potentials. So he's going to go ahead and hop in the pits there, and he's going to start from there. So again, we talked about some different strategies. That's going to be one of them right off the bat here.
Yeah, and this is the start of this race is very aggressive. I mean, you make that left-hand turn, you start uphill, and then there's that immediate right, like we're seeing on this pace lap, and then through the S's. Like it's a pretty aggressive start to this race.
Yeah, it really is. It's a tough one too. I mean, we even see it on the Cup cars. Usually on the initial starts and restarts, I mean, they stack up really hard. That's where everybody's going for it all. Because you okay, if I'm on the left side, I got kind of the preferred line going into that turn. But then once you come out, you're going to have that right-hander right away afterwards. So that's where it gets a little tricky. And I'll pull up the track map again here, right here, real quick, and you see turn one there. Like I said, it kind of has that left kink, and then I say you don't really slow down a ton for. You do have to lift and maybe roll the brake a bit. Then you got to really slow down for turn number 2. So say Logan Helton, he's going to try to see if he can keep the position on Chad Wilkes there through turn 1 to get the position into turn 2, I think. But yeah, so I'll say that's, like you said though, Dale, I think the aggression definitely going to be showing here on this initial start to try to kind of get that track position, especially when you're on that front row here.
Yeah, and he's got Larry Yingling starting right behind him, and we saw how Larry did at Watkins Glen, harassing Chad Wilkes there for quite a long time. So even though I think Larry is one of the best oval racers here, he's legitimately one of the best racers here.
Yeah, he very much is so. And I was saying Chad Wilkes, he's kind of the road course ringer. Say obviously good everywhere, but say that road course racing that he does on various forms of the vehicles, I say he does really well here. So that being said, you see the pace cars in. Now we're just going to be waiting for that green flag to fly. And it is down and away. And like we mentioned, Chad Wilkes gets a great jump on that outside line. So that's going to put Logan at a bit of a disadvantage. But actually, Logan gets through the gears nicely there. And so it's going to be tight here entering turn number 2. And like I said, right now, 2x2 entering. Logan can't quite clear that 17 here.
Yeah, and you just had it, being able to get through the gears on these starts and restarts, that's where it's at. And Logan's just not able to get away. No matter how good his start to the race was, it's like you're running door to door with Chad Wilkes. So as you said, it is the road course ringer, and Wilkes is going to have the advantage here.
Yeah, you see these guys just not giving inch, really want to try to get separated, or I should say, clear of one another. Problem is, at this point, you're probably going to have to find, someone's going to have to give here, and it looks like neither are going to give us. They're going to prove me wrong here. So usually you can't go 2x2 through their S's. Finally, Chad Wilkes gives. It took about half a lap there for these guys to single out, though. So say now Logan Helton going to grab the lead here coming through the S's.
Yeah, kind of giving Larry Yingling and Max Caldwell back there a little bit of show for the first half of this first lap.
Yeah, but say here they come into the hairpin for the first time. You can see again, Chad's going to jump to the inside here. See, I say this is where you can definitely make some time on the entry, and you can see Chad does a great job getting through there. Now it's all about getting on the gas there and not spinning those rear tires, and it looks like Chad's going to hang on through that hairpin, and he's going to lead lap number 1 after all that.
Yeah, kind of looking back through the field, there's really, everybody's kind of single file back through there, but Logan Helton and Chad Wilkes are still up here kind of battling it out.
Yeah, so right now the front four kind of just slight breakaway over the 5th place of Andrew Pileshi. But saying again, I mean, that's what you're going to have. Actually, as I say that, Andrew doing a little bit of off-roading there is going to hang on to, but that's going to open the door for Ryan Kelly. Ryan decides to hold off a little bit, though, and is going to stay in that position. But yeah, I'll say, nesting those little off tracks, little hiccups, as say opens the doors, and so you can see there Ryan Kelly had to slow up a little bit. That opened the door for Brandon Pasolaco. He was able to take the momentum and then jump into that inside and grab the spot.
Yeah, and watching, as Brandon made that pass there, he didn't get real excited. It wasn't a super aggressive pass, and that's how you have to do it here. He just kind of saw the opportunity and then took advantage of that. But the car never got loose. It looked like he managed the rear tires very well. Yeah,
exactly right there. So you see everybody here coming through the hairpin turn 11. I say this is one of those turns you go all the way down to, I say, probably about, I want to say like 30 or so miles an hour through here. It's a very, very difficult turn to manage there, but I say everybody doing a good job here so far. You can see field spread out a pretty decent bit already. I say that's kind of something we expect to see. A little further back, though, say Robbie Richards, he's trying to work over that 86 of Kyle Hess here. I'm actually looking at the ticker here. I think Kyle actually may have just grabbed a couple of spots because, yeah, it looks like Kyle was able to go +2 that last time around. So I think Kyle Hess just getting around the 12 of Robbie Richards, actually.
And Chad Wilkes is just not able to get away from Logan Helton. And in that, Larry Yingling still back there watching all this transpire ahead of him.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what you got to do. Is, I mean, you got to keep that guy, if you can, inside of you and manage your stuff, of course, as best as you can to be able to kind of challenge them and see if you can kind of keep that pressure on them, force that mistake to be able to capitalize on it. So We'll have to kind of keep an eye on him. Well, I'm going to watch here on board with Logan and see in turn number 11 here how slow he gets it down to. And yeah, it gets it down to about 40, it looks like about 40, 45 miles an hour before he's able to get the power back down. So I'll say you're getting way down in speed there. And like I said, just that throttle control is critical here to be able to make these exits without roasting those rear tires.
Yeah, kind of looking back here at the 33 of Nicholas Winook, notice the front end of his car is the bumper's gone. It's banged up pretty good. Went back and he had a little problem coming out of the hairpin, which is one of the problem areas you had talked about before.
Yeah, I was looking at now. Yeah, right. The front clip missing, but the thing is, I mean, the car's still going to drive decently enough. Say, I mean, really, bodywork isn't too critical here. Obviously, I'm sure he's a little bit down on power, but say, looking at the lap times that last time by, he's right on lap time with a few of the guys around him. So, I mean, obviously, not what you want to have happen, but at the same time, I say this is where now I'm sure what his plan is hey, I'm going to save this fast repair. Wait till that pit stop where I can really use it and kind of take full advantage of it versus kind of burning one here right off the bat.
Yeah, as long as it's not down, on a ton of power and it's not smoking or anything, so I don't think it's a huge issue. And just like you said, watching his lap time, and there's obviously not going to be any heating issues with that car. I think he's going to be fine until the scheduled pit stop.
Yeah, same thing here. It's unfortunate, but I mean that's really the nature of these races. I mean it's obviously you got to try to push and everything like that, but really it's almost a bit of a survival race as well. You just can't be super aggressive with these cars. Because they're really tough to handle. They've got, especially this package, they got a ton of power, not a lot of mechanical downforce. So I mean, you're just basically or I should say aero downforce. So all you got really is the mechanical grip, basically between yourself and the tires there to make things happen. So that's what kind of, to me at least, it makes what Chad and Logan and these guys are able to do just that much more impressive. That they figure out ways to kind of manhandle these things to keep them around, keep going around this track as quick as they can.
Yeah, and that change, you mentioned the mechanical versus aero grip, that change happened a few years ago. And it used to be the older veteran drivers were your road course ringers in the real Cup Series. You took Kevin Harvick to Sonoma, he was going to win. Tony Stewart, Robbie Gordon. These older drivers were really used to that mechanical grip. But now what we've seen with the aero grip is, Chase Elliott is pretty much your modern day road course ringer, and doesn't have bad habits, I'll say, from a time when the cars were different.
Yeah, exactly right. And so you saw right there again. We talk about the give and take. We saw Brennan get around Ryan Kelly a little earlier. Ryan was able to chase Brennan back down and was pressuring him, and Brennan said, "You know what? Okay, you're quicker than me." He just rolled on over, let Ryan Kelly go by, and he's just kind of lived to fight another day there, and he's going to get back after it. So. Again, that's the give and take you like to see. I mean, this is right outside the top 5, 6th, and 7th positions here. So, say these guys still in the thick of it for this race. So I say that's what you like to see. But now jumping over, so we got two really good battles going out on track up front here. We got here third and fourth with Larry Yingling, Maxwell Caldwell, and of course our battle for the lead. To say both these guys within about just under half a second of one another here. So really good battles here for first and second, and then of course for third and fourth.
Yeah, I'd be watching if I'm Max Caldwell. I'm kind of watching that first and second battle a little bit, because if those two cars get side by side and start racing, I don't want to be next to Larry Yingling. I want to be trying to gain as much time on the leaders as I can. Yeah,
you're exactly right. Saying lap times are all pretty similar right now. Say leaders are running about mid-18s. Same thing for Maxwell, maybe a tenth slower. But I'd say right now top 4 all within about a half a second of one another. Saying again, when you're running minute 18 laps at a track like this, that half second, that's pretty impressive. You see Maxwell a little too greedy on the throttle there, kind of roasted the rears there on the exit. Quick hands though, and quick throttle control to gather it back up there. But those little things, they do add up if you keep upsetting those rear tires. But we're going to hop back over here though for this battle for the lead, because Chad Wilkes, like you said, just cannot get rid of that 63 of Logan Helton as they start going up the hill here.
I watched them both through the hairpin just a moment ago, and Chad Wilkes, maybe had his right side tires up on the berm a little bit on the strip there. But Logan Helton had his right side tires completely inside the berm, which was something I hadn't seen anyone else do yet.
Yeah, they almost cut the corner as far as you can, really, to shorten that, shorten the turn, if you will. And I mean, that's the things. Everybody's got their little ways of how you want to run the track, what kind of lines are best for you, and things of that nature. And like I said, some drivers are going to use the curb help rotate the cars a little bit. Some drivers really want to stay off of the curbs if at all possible. You see Logan there actually caught a little bit of maybe too much curb there, and you can see how immediately it upset that car as they dive back here into turn 11. Exactly like you said, you can see just how much lower Logan was there through turn 11.
Yeah, and that's where he's gaining most of his time. That little bit helps. But when you get to the more high-speed technical sections of this racetrack, that's really where Chad Wilkes is driving.
Yeah, so of course these guys, again, fighting hard here for the lead, but at the same time, again, 40-lap race. We're on lap number 8 now, so we talk about the fuel window. Say should be a one-stopper if they can keep the tires underneath them, which I feel like that's what we're going to be seeing tonight. I think we're going to see most likely that one-stop strategy being the preferred option. The question, of course, is going to be when you want to make that pit stop, because, of course, if you can go a little bit longer, you might have some fresher tires towards the end. And we've seen before, Dale, even on the ovals, one lap makes a huge difference as Logan sends it there into the I would say the chicane, no, the hairpin there on the backside of the track. But so he's able to get on the brakes enough not to get into the back of that 17, but Logan definitely trying to keep that pressure on Chad.
Yeah, and it's difficult to not watch that mirror, especially when a guy's within a second of you on a road course. But Chad Wilkes just needs to keep the wind, looking out the windshield, paying attention to what he's doing. Because so far, what I'm seeing, he's not making a whole lot of mistakes.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, and that's really what you got to do, like you said, and that's what Logan's job too is he's got to try to keep Chad distracted, make him watch his mirror, and try to make him overdrive a turn, lock up a tire. Things like that. I mean, I think that's really how you have to race these tracks. Almost a little bit of mind games, if you will, to just kind of keep pestering that guy around you. Especially, like I said, when these guys are obviously so even with one another here as they go through turn number 1 and 2. But I'll say I'm going to jump back just a little bit because Andrew Pleshy, he's been on a roll here the last couple of laps. He's been one of the quicker cars on track apart from our top 2 here. You can see he's actually closed that gap to Maxwell Caldwell. They are just about, I believe, not even, I mean, you can see now it's not even a half second and say he's right there. So we'll keep an eye on Andrew Pleshy, see if he's able to find a way to get around that 94 here.
Yeah, and you had mentioned earlier that Max Caldwell might have got the rear tires a little hot, and that's all it takes. Andrew Pleshy's driving a clean race and keeping the car. As I say that, he loses a little bit, but that kind of illustrates exactly what I was going to say is how much time you lose or gain in those scenarios when the driver you're racing gets a little loose.
Yeah, exactly right. And like I said, that one little hiccup there on the throttle. I mean, look how much time he lost. He has to try to regain back to Maxwell there, and that's really all it boils down to is just those little mistakes, how much you can capitalize on them. And so saying that's really what it comes down to. You start getting close to that guy, you get a little more antsy, you try to start rolling that throttle a little earlier, a little harder. So it steps out on you, and you have to kind of gather back up and get it all back together. So that's just the way these things are. But I said we've talked about some of these guys up front here. I say we'll take a quick look again at the lead battle. Still, again, just about half a second. Say Chad trying to do everything he can. I say don't want to ignore the rest of our guys though, because right now Michael Spell, he is up into that 8th position from starting 10th. So the one I'm actually pretty impressed with here, Dale, is that number 1 Gabe Butler. Remember, he started from the pits. And he's back into actually where he originally started the race, up into that 9th position. So he's done a really good job. I say he kept that car clean. And I wonder if he's maybe trying to just run an overall clean race, maybe have a 0 incident point race, which we know are very difficult to do.
Yeah, he's up, started in the pits up to 9th, which was his qualifying order, as you had said. He's a second faster that last time by than Michael Spell. So if he can maintain this pace, he's going to do just fine.
Yeah, so that's where you get to a point where you say, okay, what kind of strategy do I need to do where if maybe I can't get around him on track, maybe try to pit a lap earlier, pit a lap later. Say we're not quite there yet. We're only on lap number 10 here. About halfway to the halfway point, if you will, quarter distance of the race here. Then say a little further back here, you got Todd Merkel in the 81 car. Started 12th up into 10th. So he's got a little bit of a margin over Robbie Richards there in the 12 car. Then we mentioned Nick Winook in the 33, say unfortunately missing that front clip, but still hanging on really well. Say again running pretty comparable lap times to those guys in front of him. So definitely could be worse for him. But say obviously not what he wanted to have happen, but still say soldiering on and saying that's what you love to see from these racers.
Yeah, and that his incident happened, I think, on lap 3 or 4. It's real early on. Um, it's given him that long run's given him enough time to kind of forget about it and get it out of his head and get back focused on the race. And here in about 9, 10, 11 laps, he's going to have a fresh race cars.
Exactly right. So I'm jumping back to this battle for third, fourth, and fifth here. Say Maxwell starting to slowly gain on Larry. Andrew starting to slowly gain back on Maxwell. So you got these three just about under a blanket. But yeah, up front, the leaders actually ran about a full second quicker than anybody else on the field. They're just these guys, again, having a huge fight for the lead here, while still running ridiculous lap times. So it just kind of shows how good Chad and Logan are at these road courses and just driving and racing in general. So you had one of our guys in the chat, Sim Racer, mentioning that Chad is the guy to beat on road course races. And I mean, we talked about him before, obviously with various on the Indy side of things, on the Cup side of things. He was able to win, I believe it was the third split of the Sebring 12 hour, and with him and a couple of teammates. I mean, he knows what he's doing. Doesn't matter what kind of car it is. So you get him behind the wheel at a road course, and he's going to find a way to perform.
Yeah, and the third split, like that thing. How many times did that race split? That was a huge event. So to be third split winner definitely puts him up there in top tier road course drivers.
Yeah, exactly right. And so that's what's really cool about that kind of stuff. I do see one driver hopped in the pits. Here's the 88 of Michael Spello. Looks like he had some trouble, Dale. So you can see he's missing the hood of his car. So he's going to go ahead and get service done here. Not sure if that's too early or not, but I'd say that damage may have been too much to try to limp around like we saw with the 33 here. What that does do is that gives Gabe Butler that spot that he was hoping for. So it moves Gabe up into the 8th spot here in that number 1 machine. But yeah, say unfortunately for Michael, so he's going to have to hop in and get some damage repairs done to his car. Most likely a fast repair.
Yeah, there was a little smoke as he was pulling into the pits. There was a little smoke coming out of the back of the 88 machine. So I'm sure there was some engine damage along with that.
This is where it gets dicey. You see Michael's going to exit the pits right in front of our leaders. It really looks like Logan kind of had to move a little bit just to be safe there. I think that's, last time by, Chad was just only 0.2 quicker, but I think he's able to gap himself a little bit over Logan with that turn 1 as well there. And so unfortunately, we were just mentioning the 33 of Nick Winook. Unfortunately, I believe he has retired from the event. And so this one, it's like we talked about how difficult this track was going to be, and already attrition really starting to set in. We had I believe it was 14, 15 starters, and we're down to 11 cars left on track, and after only 13 laps. So Sonoma, these Cup cars are not an easy combination for anybody.
No, I mean it's you get to race the ovals every week, in some form or fashion. You don't come to these road courses that often, and when you do, there's a entirely different level of skill and different skill set involved. So it's hard to keep those skills sharp.
Yeah, it definitely is. And there's those guys. I mean, we know. I know we've talked to Maxwell and some of the other guys before, and they'll put up practice sessions before the events to let drivers have the opportunity to kind of get some extra laps and make sure they can be comfortable and all that. And saying it's really up to those guys. I see Andrew sends it into turn 11 there. I thought he was going to overshoot it, but it gets woed down nicely there. You see Andrew's ready, starting to try to put a move back onto Maxwell here for that 4th spot. But I mean, it's just really all about just, like I said, taking advantage of those opportunities and try to kind of learn and adjust and even just kind of pick the minds of some of the other drivers in those sessions, because I've known from experience that you can ask them like, hey, what are you doing here, or like what gears are you running, things like that. I mean, and everybody wants to try to help one another, and that's what I love about this group, is that there's that kind of that camaraderie even with the competition that we have here.
Yeah, I mean, guys want to be competitive. They want it to be a competitive league, competitive races. Nobody wants it to be a one-man show. One of the things I noticed since I've been involved with Area 51 is we have a lot of what I would consider to be, photo or near photo finishes. And in other leagues I've been in the past, they're a lot less common.
Yeah, and that's also with these races, again, going either caution free, near caution free, and still at the end there's always still somebody right with the other guy. So occasionally you'll of course have those races where someone just nails the strategy or just nails everything on the race and just is able to kind of set sail. But you're right though. The competition definitely in a pretty good group here. Usually pretty much any of the top 5-6 cars week in and week out, in whichever order, of course, in these races are going to be in contention for these wins. And that's what's been pretty fun to see with these guys here. So right now, so jump around a little bit. So the 21 Brandon Pasalaco, he's kind of a lonely man right now, which I'm sure he's actually okay with. So you can see he's got a pretty good gap in front of him, but it looks like about 15 or so seconds to the guys in front, about another 10, I believe, back to the 13 of Ryan Kelly. So he's kind of just running off on his own a little bit right here, which to me, I mean, I think there's two ways of thinking about that. For me, I usually prefer that kind of situation because I can just kind of run my own race, don't have to worry about everybody around me. But at the same time, too, I always find I am usually a little bit quicker when you're in a situation like a Andrew Pleshy, Maxwell Caldwell, or even a Logan Helton, where you have that rabbit in front of you, where you're trying to chase that rabbit down. And I don't know, if I'm always a little bit better when I've got that car in front of me to kind of just judge my entries, my braking zones, and of course just that little bit of extra incentive to try to chase those guys down.
Robbie Richard just went around in a big way.
Oh yeah, saying that was a dangerous spot there. So you see he's able to get back rolling again there, as you see Todd Merkel coming on by there. That's a really tough place. I mean, you're carrying a lot of speed through that turn, and I say if you catch that wrong, I say it'll catch you in a bad way. But so the car looks still pretty clean. I say it may have went for a ride obviously, but doesn't look damage-wise, doesn't look too bad. He's going to be pitting here now with 25 to go, which is right around the window. But I'm thinking with probably that big slide there, he's probably thinking, you know what, these tires probably shot. Even if I have to make the extra stop, just for the sake of the car, probably the best option to jump in here. And the other thing to mention is, I mean, you saw that car going into the pits. I mean, this track is dusty. I don't know if you could tell there, but there's just dust coming off the rear tires of that car as it hit the pit road. So yeah, so it's this place definitely, like I said, and that's part of it too. You get offline, you're going to be in that dust, and these cars are going to, say, we talk about how tough it is to get the power down. It's going to be that much more difficult when you're not kind of on the grippier part of the track. Yeah,
and that's one of the things iRacing has done well with. This is California. It is a dusty environment. There's a drag strip here. I know it's the people I know who have drag raced here. It's not necessarily a favorite among them for that same reason. So I think iRacing has done very well in modeling that level of realism here.
Yeah, exactly right. So the other thing I was talking to some of the drivers. One thing I do wish is that say this is on iRacing side, but just on NASCAR itself, I would love to see them come and race here in the spring before the grass dries out and you get it like it is. Say because you see pictures of this track in the springtime where it's completely green. I think it'd be a beautiful scenery change for this track to see them race on it with some nice fresh grass on the track.
Yeah, it's nearly to make the comparison, it's nearly like a golf course in early spring.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm back up front here, Dale, because if you're that 17 of Chad Wilkes and you look in your rearview mirror, all you see is that 63 of Logan Helton. He cannot shake him. And I think this is where we talked about, I think that strategy on when the pit stops is, of course, pending little mistakes here and there. But I think this pit stop strategy is going to potentially might even play the role in how this race is determined tonight.
Yeah, I think you're right. It looks like Logan, I thought he was going to get inside there off the hairpin. He didn't, but man, he is right there. But I think you're right, especially when you got two drivers this close. I mean, feet between each other at some points. It's really going to come down to a strategy call.
Yeah, I think Logan's sending it into turn 2 there. Couldn't quite. So I think he had to load down to make sure he didn't get into Chad. You saw Chad, I think, give him a little bit of room to make sure that he wasn't going to wash it up into him. But these two are dicing it up. And this, I say, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but say they have snuck away from the rest of the field. So even if they start battling, it's not going to help Larry, Maxwell, and Andrew too much at this point in the race. But say these guys are leaving it all out on the line right here. Say they're leaving nothing to chance.
Yeah, and I don't think necessarily that Logan is that much faster than Chad. What I believe we're seeing is Logan knows that pit stops are coming up here very, very shortly, and his tires still have some life in them, so why not use them?
Exactly right. So this is the time to abuse them that little bit. So I think Maxwell might be thinking the same thing because he is all over the back of Larry Yingling now as well for that third position. Say Logan's been able to separate himself just a little bit off of Chad, so say that gap is back to about a half a second here. So we'll keep an eye on this battle here, because say it's really now Larry's got to get through this turn cleanly to have him to kind of protect himself from Maxwell having a chance at him. And that's the thing, is to say these turns set up the next turns, and so say Larry's got to make sure he hits the one to get the next one right as well. So, and you see there overshoots just a little bit on the exit. Now they're gonna have a drag race here off of turn 11. See Ryan Kelly just hopping out of the pits there, or sorry, Gabe Butler hopping out of the pits. I don't know why I keep mixing those two up. I believe Brandon Paslacco, he's hitting the pits as well. So say we do have a handful of drivers making their first pit stops here. Actually, Ryan Kelly was one of them. Gabe Butler, Brandon Paslacco now as well. So they're going just a little early before the halfway point of this race. So I'm going to jump back actually up front to this race lead one more time here, because the question is going to be now, when do some of these guys maybe decide to make this first pit stop? I think at some point one of these two, I don't know if it's going to be, again, Logan maybe trying to do the kind of the late pit strategy to jump around the 17, or try to do the short pit strategy. Right now both these guys are going to stay out this time by.
Yeah, they're still just so fast and compared, to the guys around them. Max Caldwell and Andrew Paleshi's actually gotten a little faster these last couple laps, but Chad Wilkes and Logan Helton's just so fast. It's hard to give that up.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. We didn't even mention, Dale's. You don't know where you're going to come out in relation to the field on your pit stop, so you're kind of at the risk. Okay, if I pit now, what happens? What if I get into this battle with the 82 and the 94 and the 67? Like, that's the exact opposite of what you're going to be wanting to do. So it does open up a little bit of difficulty for kind of making that strategy call of when to make these pit stops. Like I said, we're right now on lap number 20, so say next time by we'll be halfway here. So yeah, so it's gonna be fun to see what these guys are gonna be doing tonight.
Yeah, it looks like Logan might have either used up everything he had, or thought he had left, extra in those tires, or just kind of a risk versus reward thing, and he's back off of Chad Wilkes by about a second now, and he's done that a few times through the race and has been able to just gather it right back up.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious to see. He sends it into turn 11 again. Seems like Logan's really good on his brakes. Now, something we talked about, Dale, was getting the brake bias set right, and I think Logan's found a spot where he can really hustle it but still have it be comfortable for him. As like I said, we just crossed the halfway point in the race, and you see here up front, here comes Maxwell Caldwell. He's going to be the first to dive off from our front runners. So say he's going to try to do the undercut on Larry Yingling as he gets to the pit road speed right there. And oh, actually Ryan Kelly, see him slow off of the hairpin here. Not sure what happened to that 13 car. We'll see if he's able to get it refired and back going again, but something going on for Ryan here, unfortunately. He had just pitted, so it's not a fuel issue.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, if maybe he had accidentally unselected fuel and didn't realize it.
And the car's still just coasting. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. I've had before too, where sometimes my my ignition switch, I've had it before where my ignition switch went bad on my button box. So it could be something to do with that. He's got to be careful, because the leaders are about to head over to him right now. And both the leaders again stay out here, so we'll jump over to that 13 and keep an eye on him here. I think, yeah, he just went ahead and took a tow there. I think that was a good call to get him out of harm's way from the lead pack as they're about to come through there. But just that's unfortunate. He was having a nice solid run here, but whatever it was, some sort of difficulty going to set him a little bit back. And I was curious to see, was Larry going to react to Maxwell's pit stop? He does not. He's going to keep going. So I think right now the leaders' decisions here, they're going to run this pit stop long and have the fresher tires to the rest of this race.
Yeah, and I don't believe Larry's going to pit until either Logan or Chad do. He's not usually the first one to pit, I've noticed, unless he absolutely has to. So I think he's going to wait until somebody else makes a move.
Yeah, another thing to mention, Andrew Pleshy, Maxwell Caldwell, they pitted on the same lap, and they actually came out pretty close to one another here. Just about a couple seconds between the two of them, as you see Maxwell here heading into the front stretch into turn number 1. So say, well, again, we'll jump back over to our race leaders here. Let's say right now it's really, yeah. I mean, I think at this point it's really all about who's going to make that pit stop win. So we'll keep an eye and see if it's going to be this time for either of them. That's a no for Chad Wilkes and a no for Logan Helton. So again, these guys run one more time around. Like I said, just it looks like they're going to stretch this fuel as far as they can to make sure they have the best tires they can for the last stretch of this race.
And the fall off, it's only 2 seconds, and the cars aren't, their cars aren't out of hand. They're not really struggling anywhere that I've noticed, at least. So again, if I'm in the seat, I don't see a reason to pit.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to lose any positions to the guys behind you. So I think they built up easily enough of a gap before that. It's all going to kick off. One thing I am noticing, like you mentioned though, Dale, is it looks like Chad's been able to separate himself just that little bit here and there over these last couple laps. Oh, actually, as I said, you see Logan off in the dirt there a little bit. Gets it back on track there, so that's going to help Chad extend that lead just that little bit extra. So so Logan's gonna have to do a little extra work here to try to close that gap back up here before they make this first pit stop.
And those are those little mistakes, we talked about. They cause you to lose a bunch of time, and it's easy to compound them. You get frustrated, you're trying to gain that time back, and maybe you're driving a little harder than you need to be. It's really easy to compound one mistake into multiple.
Yeah, you're exactly right. But I think that's where I say Logan, he's had enough racing. I say again, he's relatively new to iRacing, but I mean he's done a lot of racing since then, and he's been very competitive. So I think he learns pretty quickly, kind of cool the head off of your shoulders and get back after it. So I think you see here he's still going back at it. Don't see him being too over aggressive on the throttle or anything like that. So yeah, I think he's doing exactly what he needs to do to try to regain that track position that he lost. And honestly, luck the lap times he lost. Oh no, actually no. Now it just updated there. Yeah, he lost about a second and a half just from that big bobble there where he went off into the dirt there going up the hill.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's when you're competing with a guy like Chad Wilkes, who's not known for making mistakes on these racetracks. It's very difficult to gain that time back.
Yeah, you can see there the tire tracks of where Logan went off and where he hopped back on the track. So right now, say we have 4 drivers that have yet to make their pit stops. We've been talking about Chad Wilkes, Logan Helton, Larry Yingling. The other of those is that 81 of Todd Merkel. He's yet to make his first pit stop. So say I think right now Todd going with that strategy of running long here to have those fresher tires at the end of it. So keep that car in the best condition he can. Unfortunately, again, we mentioned this track definitely has been biting people. So Ryan Kelly looks like he's retired as well. Also, Robbie Richards, I think we had mentioned earlier, and Nicholas Winnock, Kyle Hess. However, one driver that's hopped on late here, so he wasn't able to make the grid, but's on track now, is that 50 of Josh Schofner. And I say he's 17 laps down here, Dale, but, I mean, he goes about 5... If he can go about 12 more laps, I mean, he's going to jump all the way up into the top 10 here, so... say again, not ideal that he missed the start. I'll say obviously probably something going on where he wasn't able to make it to the grid, but he's going to be able to at least grab some spots back, and looks like might even be able to grab a top 10 here.
Yeah, and these guys are whether anybody wants to admit it or not, these guys are points racing. When this thing ends, when the season comes to a close here in a few weeks, it's going to be just a handful of points to separate, a champion from second place.
Exactly right. You saw right there, Brendan Paslock went ahead and rolled out there, let Chad Wilkes go on by, doesn't want to impede his progress. I'm sure that was something Chad was worried about, was like, okay, I don't want to lose too much time to Logan here with that. But say Chad Brendan doing exactly what you would hope as a leader, that someone that would be off, kind of not off pace, but on a different strategy, because obviously, again, leaders yet to pit here. And I feel like at this point, they're probably due any time now. They were at lap number 25. I want to say that was roughly about what the window was, so I feel like this is going to be just about the time where we're going to see our top 3 drivers here hit the pits. However, I am proven wrong by the 17 car. Let's see if Logan's going to prove me wrong also, and he is. So this is why I stick in the booth, and I am not making the strategy calls here tonight, Dale.
I get nervous on these road courses when it comes to fuel mileage and all that, because on the big ovals and all that, I'm reasonably sure if I'm cutting it close, hey, I'll at least be able to coast around and I'll lose a good bit of time. But here, if you run out with the hills and all that, a good possibility that you're not going to make it back around, without the car being under power.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that they're probably easily taking account for that one. But yeah, like you said, the lap times. I mean, that's the biggest thing that I'm taking from this, Dale. Is you look at Chad Wilkes still running in the 119s here, 25, 26 now laps into this run. Just him being able to hold on to this pace. I almost wonder if maybe he was just running just hard enough to keep Logan at bay, and maybe again hoping maybe he could get Logan to abuse his stuff that little bit extra, and then once he kind of get into that magic window where he can kind of get that extra gear, if you will. But he's definitely been doing so. The only thing though is Maxwell Caldwell, Andrew Pleshy, they've been running about a second or two a lap quicker than him with their fresher tires. And the one that I'm going to be watching, I'd say I feel like it's going to be between Chad and Logan for the win here tonight. But that third place race is going to be very interesting between Larry, Maxwell, and Andrew, barring nothing changing, of course, over the course of the race. Because I think Andrew and Maxwell are going to jump Larry through the pit stops just with Larry running long here. But then Larry having those fresh tires, will he be able to get back around them and use those fresh tires on this last half of the race?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be real close. I think Larry might be able to come out right behind them as it stands right now, but it's definitely going to be super close.
So see again, Logan going up the hill now, heading back down the hill. Say again, this track just a lot of elevation change. The first handful of turns, you're going straight up the track, and then you come straight back down until you get here into the S's, and then I say a little bit of elevation change, but for the most part, pretty flat through there. A little bit downhill, and actually, see some trouble here in the hairpin. You see Michael Spell there. I think it was Andrew. Yeah, Andrew Pleshy with some damage as well. I'm going to go back and take a quick look at that as I about knock over my machinery. So we'll take a look. You see Michael Spell trying to jump to the inside. I think while doing that, got a little bit loose, trying to slow down for Andrew Pleshy. And you can see there, say when he's it looks like when he tries to gather it back up, I think he's just going to catch the right rear of Andrew. Yeah, that's exactly what happened, unfortunately. So that's where Andrew gets looped around a little bit of damage as well, but is able to grab a gear and get back going. Obviously not what he'd be hoping for there. May have cost him a little bit of time. However, though, do need to mention, though, leaders are in the pits. You see Chad Wilkes heading in, as is the 63 of Logan Helton. So this is their one and only pit stop. However, Larry Engling saving some tires, saving some fuel. He's going to go one more here.
Yeah, and I'm not real surprised by that. Like I say, Larry's not going to be the one to make the pit decision. It's just not his style. It's a way he has found throughout his iRacing career that he is able to get a little bit extra, by going a lap or two longer. So not surprised with his call one bit.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I am noticing here with that is, you look at the 17 of Chad Wilkes. I was going to say he comes out right behind the one of Gabe Butler, but Gabe goes ahead and rolls out early there, lets Chad get right back on by. So that's exactly what Chad's going to be hoping for, to get that clean air back on the nose and not have to worry about trying to work around anybody here. So that's going to leave right now Larry as a race leader. The only thing for Larry, unfortunately, that he won't get a lap lead because Chad was across the start-finish line before Larry got to it when he hit his pit stall just from the distance. So unless Larry can run one more lap here, Dale, I think he won't get the opportunity to get that lap lead, as I think Chad's going to wind up jumping across him before he hits his pit mark. So say if he was going for a lap lead, unfortunately, that's not going to pan out here. Yeah,
and I did not see the interval. Larry's going another time.
One more. Look at Larry, the fuel saver.
Exactly. I did not see the interval between Larry and Chad and Logan when Chad and Logan went to pits. But, I mean, he's definitely going to lose. There's no way he doesn't lose the position.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
The question will be, does he have the tire advantage enough that he'll be able to gain that time back?
Yeah, so I think right now, Larry, he's going to be fighting for that third position here with Maxwell. Unfortunately, with the contact with the 88 and the 82 of Andrew Pleshy, I think that's going to put Andrew out of the running for that top 3 position. So I think that fight for the podium is going to be between Maxwell here in the 94 cars. You see him right behind the 81 of Todd Merkel, as Todd gives him plenty of room, lets him go around there in turn number 2 here. Again, it's exactly what you really love to see as competitors, to see that give and take by drivers on different strategies and such. But yeah, you're right, though. I mean, and that's the thing is, Larry, again, he's on these older tires, and Chad's going to be pretty aggressive here trying to make the most of these fresh tires, and he's already just about at that 67 car as they come through the S's.
Yeah, Chad's there, and I don't suspect Larry's got enough to make it one more. And even if he does, I mean, there's really no point. He's going to lose a position anyhow.
Yeah, I mean, he got the lap lead. He gets the bonus point. So I think now, like I said, I mean, every point's going to matter. So I think you'll see Larry up. Here he goes. He's going to dive into the pits. He's going to hand the lead back over to Chad Wilkes in that 17 car. So the next fight is the one we're going to really have to be keeping an eye on. It's going to be that battle for third. So I think it's going to be very tight here between Larry and Maxwell. Like I said, I think Maxwell's going to have the edge, but then I think Larry's going to be able to hopefully use those fresh tires to his advantage.
Yeah, and I mean, we still got 10 laps, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but that's 12 minutes of racing left.
Yeah, exactly right. And again, these leaders, I mean, they've been setting a pretty torrid pace. So I'll say it's going to be tough for Larry, honestly, Dale, because he's in the pits now getting service done to his car. Those tires are going to have to make a lot of time to have a chance. Because actually, I was talking about not having to worry about the 82 of the 82 of Andrew Pleshy. Andrew just went by him, so he is actually still going to have to fight Andrew Pleshy as well, even with Andrew's spin, unfortunately, to be able to even get to have a chance to get after Maxwell. Because right now it looks like he's going to cycle through about 15 seconds possibly behind that 94 car.
Yeah, that's I don't see him making that time up. I mean, I think he's going to get to Andrew. But Andrew Pleshy's not going to give that position up super easy because it is for points.
Yeah, exactly right. Again, everybody's going to want to get max points, get that, again, try to stay in that top 8. So I'm going to be curious to say, obviously, the first goal for Larry, he's going to have to try to make quick work of that 82. I think Andrew's probably not going to be quite up to song with that slide. So I'm sure those tires are going to be a little bit angry on the 82 car as well. So we'll see if Larry's able to. I think actually Larry's going to get it to him just in time here, entering the hairpin. As we watch in turn 11, actually, yeah, you see Andrew, he jumps to the inside. They're going to let, it looks like decided to go ahead and let Larry on by there. So I'd say that's goal number 1 for Larry, but now we're going to be watching those lap times between that 67 and the 94, because that's going to be really the key thing here, which is, of course, right now it's going to be a slow lap because Larry just coming out of the pits. But we'll see what the next lap time is compared between the 94 and the 67.
Yeah, it's 13 or 14 second difference, and I just don't. Larry's fast. I just don't think he's that fast.
Yeah, that's gonna be the question. Is just the tire fall off. I mean, we mentioned that before, and so if that fall off is enough where Larry can chase, maybe he does gain. I mean, 'cause I could actually see him gaining maybe 2 seconds a lap or so. The question is that going to be enough to make that gap back or not? So. For Chad Wilkes, I'll say he's got that nice little cushion now over Logan Helting. So he's got about that 5-second gap. So just those couple little mistakes by Logan towards the end of the run. And I think also Chad, like I said, maybe just really finding that other gear that we were talking about him maybe having in his pocket, if you will, to use later on. He's been able to stretch that lead over Logan. So I think now Chad's just going to do what he does best here, manage his pace, and not overdrive his stuff and just try to bring this thing home clean. But so it's easier said than done at a track like this, even with those 9 laps remaining. This track, I'd say it's a very difficult one to get around here.
Yeah, and Chad knows. I mean, he knows what he's got to do, and exactly what you said. He's just got to keep a clean race car. If he keeps a race car clean and keeps the tires underneath of it, he'll do just fine.
All right, Dale, here's our first interval between the 67 and the 94. Maxwell last time by ran a 19.0. This time Larry, he ran a 17.1, so it was just about 2 seconds quicker for that 67 of Larry Yingling. So, I mean, if we do the math there, if he can keep this 2 second gap up with 9 laps to go, I mean, that's 18 seconds. Right now he's just about 10, I believe, behind, roughly, of Maxwell Caldwell. So, actually, no, it looks like more about 13 now that I look at it. So it'll be interesting inside. Larry's going to have to make sure he hits his marks. Maxwell's going to have to minimize any mistakes throughout the rest of this run here. So this could be a pretty good fight for the third position.
Yeah, and if Larry gets there, I think it'll be around lap 38. It's going to be a hard-fought battle because you got 2 completely different driving styles. Larry is not what I would call an aggressive race car driver in that he's not going to move anybody out of the way. He's going to strike when the time is perfect for him. Maxwell, I'm not saying he's a dirty race car driver, but Maxwell is more of a risk taker. He'll try some moves that maybe other people aren't willing to. So it's definitely going to be a good battle.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty interesting to see how it all pans out here. I think what I'm gonna be watching too is gonna be, like I said, just keeping an eye on the lap time. So I'll say they just went by again, and this time was not quite 2 seconds. A 1:19.2 for Maxwell, 1:17.7 for Larry. So I'd say about a second and a half this time. So, like I said, it's going to be interesting to say. The only thing for Maxwell, as you can see, he's actually caught to the back of the number one of Gabe Butler. And so he actually catches him in the S's, which is a pretty tough place to catch because, I mean, this isn't anywhere where Gabe can just roll over and let somebody by. He can do it once he gets out of the turn 10 into turn 11. Actually, he still finds a way to do so. So, again, just the respect given by these guys is just really nice to see. So I say that's going to help Maxwell's pace there, not slow him down too much in that lap time to try to hold off Larry. But I was suspecting we were going to see that one car pull off here to let that 94 sneak on by.
Oh, Logan Helton goes around.
Oh, yep, turn number 2, you're right. So he loops it around. He's going to grab a gear and get going. So he's just going to keep padding the advantage for the that 17 to Chad Wilkes. Because I said that again, they built such an advantage, Dale. So I think he's going to be fine with this, even with that little bit of a spin entering turn 1 or 1 and 2 here. That he'll still be safe with that. Say obviously you never want to have that happen, and so you never enjoy spinning out. But I say that's the thing. That's the way those previous 34 laps, him and Chad putting down those just tremendous laps. I say he's going to have a lot of breathing space through the rest of this. Even with that, through the rest of this run.
Yeah, and I mean that costs so much time. Just the spin itself, and then trying to get the car back pointed the right direction, back up to speed. You just lose so much time.
Yeah.
Still puts Maxwell Caldwell about 10 or 12 seconds behind him. But Logan also lost about the same to Chad Wilkes.
Yeah, exactly right. And say lap time again, Dale, 2 seconds for Larry Yingling again. This time 17.4 to Maxwell's 15 or 19.5. So. Say you can see on the ticker here on the left, the gap is about 8 seconds now with 6 to go. So it's going to be timing us, like you said, if he can keep that gap or the gain that he's doing, it will be, like I said, probably about 2 or so to go. He might be able to get there. So it's going to be pretty intriguing to see on that one. Do need to jump back. Andrew Plessy's still holding on in that top 5 position. I said, unfortunately, that contact between himself and the 88 there in the turn 11, say nothing intentional, just the 88 got loose on while trying to get out of the way. But I say unfortunately got into the back of him. Brandon Pasalacqua just got put a lap down. He's going to fall into the 6th position from his 7th starting position. And then we mentioned Gabe Butler, so he just got lapped a little earlier as well in that number 1 machine. Started from the pits, but up into that 7th spot. So say again, great job by Gabe here, keeping that car clean throughout the race. Say Michael Spell in the 88. He is still in the 8th position, also just 1 down here. So had that little bit of a mishap, say otherwise still able to hang on to. Stay still fighting, which is like, again, that's everything you want to see. And then just in front of him, 2 down, is the 81 of Todd Merkel. But say actually is the last car that's still on track here. But again, I mean, he's going to get a top 10 from this. And we talked about the top 8 in points, and a lot of these guys, this is going to be, and if there is a drop week, I'm not sure, but that could wind up being their drop here. All right, let's jump back over to his battle here for the 3rd position, because I'm going to keep an eye again. So you see Maxwell is going to come on through here. He runs a 119.4. Larry just crosses the line right now. Larry runs a 118.5, so just 1 second quicker for the 67 Larry Yingling this time around. So say Maxwell doing what he can, but you can see, I mean, that gap is visually closer, Dale. I'll say Larry's just about to the point where he can start seeing that 94 car on the exit of some of these turns.
Yeah, and Larry's going to be driving. He can see on his relative how close they actually are, so he's going to be driving the wheels off to get there. But that works 2 directions. Maxwell Caldwell can see him on the relative as well, and is going to do everything to prevent it.
Yeah, you see Larry, the one of Gabe Butler, he gives Larry lots of room there, lets him sneak on by. So he's going to get that track position to say now he's got nobody between himself and that 94 car. As Maxwell is just about to complete going through the S's here. As Larry just enters him, you can see him just in the background. As Larry comes over the hill, he sees that 94. And so again, that just gives you that extra little incentive to try to chase him down. So I did talk to Larry during practice, and he did say his goal was going to be to get a top 3. He kind of figured the 3rd was going to be about where he'd be aiming for. So we'll see if Maxwell's able to kind of put himself between Larry and that goal here tonight, because Larry's going to want to get that podium streak. He wants to continue that one after having it broke a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, Larry wants to finish third for the same reason I show up every week, and that's he wants to talk to you.
That's exactly right. I mean, I say we're pretty popular commodity, and saying it's not the being top three in the race. It's the having the chance to have an interview with us. As I say nice to see Matt Wagner. He's in the chat with us here on YouTube as well. So saying Matt mentioning he's gonna have to ask Chad for some stock car road racing tips here, because like I said, everybody was pointing at that 17 car, and for good reason. Alright, we're going to jump back over to this battle here, because I'm going to hop on board with Larry. And I'll say we'll watch from his onboard. You see the 94 car Maxwell Caldwell, you know Larry sees him. And I'll say again, that's just going to be all that little extra incentive to say leaders just cross the line here with 3 to go. So say there's still time for it to be done. Like I said, Larry's going to have to be near spot perfect to make a chance. So he's going to have to make sure no mistakes here. Last time by just under a second and a half quicker than Maxwell. So I say within, I think that, like I said, probably might even be coming to the white where he has a real chance to get to that 94.
And it could come down to, like we talked about, photo finishes. I mean, this could be a photo finish for third place.
Yeah, it could just come down to who gets the best traction out of turn 10 or turn 11, I should say, which I would say would be pretty exciting to see how it pans out there. So I'll say we're watching Larry here as he goes through 1 and 2. And but yeah, he is definitely closing that gap on Maxwell. It's visually closer here. You can see now. We'll hop on the back and you see now you got just not even a straightaway between the two of them when they get to the straighter parts of the track here. So this is where, again, if you're Larry, you just try to start making that 94 car. Just try to make him watch his mirror, overdrive some turns, and just let you catch him a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I think the gap might be 2 seconds right now. It's kind of hard to say the way it jumps around through the various sections of the racetrack. I think they're about 2 seconds in closing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's about a 2-second gap. I'll say Chad Wilkes, he just crossed line. We have 2 to go here. He's gonna have Michael Spell to work around, and possibly Todd Merkel before he gets to the white. Logan Helton, he just crosses the line as well for his 2 to go. As you can see, he is still wheeling that car through turns 1 and 2. He's not going to give an inch. He's going to see everything he can get out of that car. As I say, here comes Maxwell and Larry coming out of turn 11 into turn number 1 for their 2 to go. So and like I said, it's there. I mean, it's about 2 to 3 seconds, I think, pretty solidly between these 3rd and 4th place cars.
Yeah, and about, 1.3 second difference that time by, it looks like.
Yeah, say Larry's gonna. I mean, he's like I said, he can't make any mistakes if he wants to at least have one opportunity to make. And honestly, that might be all he has. Like I said, I think Maxwell's done a great job of managing his tires on this run. Again, he's got about 9 lap older tires than Larry, so he's doing everything he can right now to kind of make Larry have to earn this one as much as he can. So Chad Wilkes, he's heading back over through turn 11. He's going to catch the white flag this time around. It's going to be a nice evening. You see Michael Spell spinning off in the back. We'll make sure hopefully Logan Helton's able to get through cleanly. That's just getting a little bit too much throttle on the exit. And it looks like Logan, he's going to get going as the 88. Yeah, you see Michael there in the background just lets him by. But yeah, here comes Larry he's just not quite close enough. You can see he actually takes a little wide, actually catches the cone a little bit. But yeah, here it goes. So this is going to be the last lap between these two. I don't want to ignore Chad, but this is going to be a good fight here, so I'll watch them while we keep an eye on where Chad is on track here as well.
Yeah, Larry's there, 1 to go, and he's there. He just got to wait for the right opportunity, and he'll be able to get around. He's on the inside.
Into 2. I didn't think Larry would go that early. I thought he'd try to set him up a little bit. You see Maxwell going to make him fight for it here. They're going to go door to door here. As they go up the hill, Larry has to back out of it. Wasn't going to be able to get through clean. So now Larry's best chance here is going to have to try to get a good exit through this right-hander here to be able to send it into this next hairpin. So he uses a ton of curb there. Maxwell does a great job on the throttle here. So I think this is going to leave Larry with pretty much just one more opportunity, which is going to be that final hairpin.
Yeah, he's really going to have to work. Max is not going to make it easy on him, as we've already seen here through this last lap.
Yeah, so however, coming out of turn 11 onto the front stretch across the line, Chad Wilkes going to get the win here at Sonoma. Say coming through as that battle for third's coming through the S's. Logan Helton, though, he's going to come off turn number 11. He's going to grab that second place. But now we're going to jump to this battle for the third position between Larry Yingling and Maxwell Caldwell. And it looks like Maxwell's going to hang on to this. I say it might be that drag race off of turn 11, though. We'll see how the throttle power goes here. Yeah, Maxwell nails it on the exit there, Dale. And he fought Larry off in that last lap, and he is going to grab that third position. Hard fought third spot, say, with the older tires for Maxwell, but he's able to get it done. Say Larry got there, just wasn't quite in time. Maxwell Caldwell going to hold off that 67 car and grab that third position here.
Yeah, that wasn't as easy for Max Caldwell as he just made it look once Larry got to his door.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, you know that the tires are mad. You know you're already used them up pretty much as much as you could there, but he's able to hold on to it. Say fought through the uphill portion of the track enough to be able to prevent Larry from making that move. But yeah, just great job by those guys. Let's say as we see Chad Wilkes, he's going to come through the hairpin here, do some celebrating here with the win this evening. But man, just what a fight though between him and Logan for that first about 20 or so laps, let's say, and then that's where Chad was able to sneak away. But just really, really great job to both of these guys here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about, just minimizing the mistakes, and that's exactly what Chad Wilkes did. As Logan Helton's going to come up by and give him a little congratulations.
Yeah, I was saying a little bit of a slide there as well. But yeah, great job of those guys. Let's see here. There goes Chad. He's going to do the burnouts here on the front stretch. So you got plenty of tire, plenty of fuel left on that one. But yeah, so that was, again, just a great job. Hard fought race by these guys. But yeah, I think a lot of these guys are going to be pretty tired after that one. All right, so while we're watching Chad, let's actually jump over to our third place finisher. That's going to be the 94 of Maxwell Caldwell. Let's go ahead and pull him up here, Dale, and we'll have a word with our third place finisher. And you know their teammates, but you know they got that little bit of the team rivalry. You never want to be beaten by the guys that you race with week in, week out. But all right, so you pitted obviously a little earlier than the rest of the guys, and then able to, it seemed like, just really manage your tires very, very well that last round. Because Larry was finally able to get to you, but it took him that whole run to get there. But then, I mean, how did you hold him off that final lap with, again, probably about I think it was like 7, 8, 9 lap older tires there at that last lap?
Good question. No, just had to run a defensive line there. Man, that first run, I felt like I kind of got the tires. I really was not pushing it the first 3-4 laps, just riding behind Larry, watching him, thinking, man, I'm actually keeping up with Larry. Ended up toward the end of that run, felt like I was a little quicker, but thought the halfway point would be a good time to pit and just see what fresh tires would do. I didn't expect him to stay out as long as he did. I thought he was going to be pitting like next lap, but he ends up staying out. So I guess that kind of worked in my favor a little bit. I wished I could have stayed out maybe one more lap just to have that little bit fresher tires, and just lap cars, trying to get around them. That was the big key in that last run, was just getting around lap cars. But no, I was telling Larry that was a great little to run me down from 14 seconds back, I think I saw, to get to me on the last lap. I put one big block on him, but I just it was clean, but it was a pretty big block, but it was last lap and had to do what you had to do. Third place was what he's running for. No one was catching them front two.
Yeah, so those two were on a kind of on the league of their own there. But yeah, I mean, it was really a great run. I would say you, Larry, and then Andrew as well. So unfortunately, Andrew had a little bit of an incident after the pit stop, which kind of took him out of the fight. But yeah, I mean, it looked like it was going to be kind of a dogfight between the three of you there, and then kind of what pit strategy was going to be the way to go there at the end. But yeah, I mean, it was a great run. Like I said, I mean, you got to protect, you got to do what you can to try to get those finishes. And like I said, I know obviously you guys have your little own inside competition, I'm sure, with one another. Where I was joking with Dale mentioning, and say, yeah, they're gonna Larry's going to want to keep that top 3 streak going. As I'm sure it doesn't hurt if you're the one to break that streak either, though. But yeah, so it seemed like you said, it did seem like you made those rears a little angry. We saw at least once, I want to say, especially coming off 11, where it's just so easy to get a little bit too greedy on the throttle and it just lights them up. I mean, you could probably explain to me how difficult was it to try to manage that throttle going through this track here?
Extremely. Sonoma's probably one of, if not the worst track for throttle control, which is what made me think it was going to be a good race. Puts it more in the driver's hands. I'm not a road course ringer by no means. I've been learning a ton from Chad at Watkins Glen and then here at Sonoma. But just this track, what's so different from Watkins Glen to this track is the throttle control is immense. Like coming off 11, like you said, really, if you went more than half throttle, you were spinning them. And even in my run going through those S's, I'd be like quarter to a third throttle, and I'd still feel the rear tires trying to spin those last 2 or 3 laps. Like it was insane. Um, the fronts didn't really get destroyed like you would think they would, but just you just couldn't put the power down literally anywhere around the track. Maybe flooring it for a half second to a second out of the whole lap, where you're actually full throttle, and that's really coming right to 11. Other than that, you're really never full throttle. So, uh, yeah, it's extremely intense, but I think it made for good racing. And I know there was a big wide gap in the field as far as who could handle it and who kind of had issues. But man, it's just when you put it in the driver's hands like that, that's what you're going to see sometimes. And I'm not saying I'm no great one, but man, it just it shows what practice and stuff will do. So our team practices very hard. And if I can, I want to give a shout out to Andrew, man. He had such a great car, ran hard all race. I think he was equal to me. He was better in some places than I was. He was definitely better in the middle of the run, but just he had some bad luck there. And I know he's put a ton of time in practicing, but shout out to him. He had to have had one of the faster laps of the race. So he had an awesome car.
Yeah, you guys are all right on top of one another. Like I said, it was a really good run. And but you're exactly right. And that's something Dale and I were mentioning, that there was obviously a few drivers, a little shorter field time. Some drivers that kind of just said, "Nah, this isn't for me," and bailed on it. Some got lost intentionally, possibly in the vineyards. But then let's say you guys, like I said, I know you had practice sessions up to let people join in and get some laps in, and like I said, get the feel, kind of figure out what you had to do to work through the track. But you're exactly right, though. I mean, even Dale and I were noticing when you made your pit stops, I mean, there was dust coming off the cars going through the pits. I mean, so it just shows how little grip there was on this track. Say the parts that you weren't running through for most of the race. I mean, it was dusty. So, and like I said, this is probably one of the least grippy tracks in NASCAR, probably honestly in iRacing itself. So, for when you're having to try to wrangle a 700-800 horsepower car with the low downforce package, it's gonna pretty much give you a tough time all the way through there.
Absolutely. I mean, you take one of iRacing's probably heaviest race cars that's really not built for road course racing, and you throw it on this windy, twisty, hilly, curvy road course. I mean, you go uphill, 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 get to the backstretch, and then you come downhill through a set of S's that are insanely fast, that you're throwing all that weight left, right, left, right. If you miss those S's even by just a little bit, you were going to kill probably a second off your lap time. And really, I think that's where Larry was getting me toward the end there. I was just throwing too much weight around on them S's, slipping around. But yeah, absolutely. Even pit road, a little slick. Getting in the pit stall really wasn't as bad as I thought, but um, pit road, I think that was a huge key, was trying to maximize pit road. That's really the only way I stayed in front of Larry there. But yeah, slick track. You should have been out there with us, Gal. You could have had a little fun sliding in the dirt.
Yeah, so I definitely would have been doing some kitty litter visiting, I think, on my side there, because yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a tough one, and I mean, we saw everybody pretty much going off a little bit, making those little bit of mistakes, and just shows how difficult it was for you guys. I do enjoy road course racing. I remember I was talking to Dale. I remember running this track before at a different league with the Cup cars. I think it was with the high downforce package, and I was still having. It was always worth to hang on to that thing. So yeah, you guys did an awesome job tonight. I say keeping that thing in one piece. But I got to give you the floor though. So I know you gave a shout out over to Andrew there for his run tonight. So I know you got some other guys though you like to thank, and for your third place here tonight.
Absolutely, man. My teammates, Larry Yingling, Chad Wilkes, Ryan Kelly, Brandon Pazalacqua, man, just putting in the hours, working on some setups. I think Chad actually kind of helped alter the setup a little bit. What we originally had was very tight, and tight at this track is still loose. So instead of having the front not do anything at all, Chad was able to edit it a little bit, being the road course ringer he is, and give us a setup that we could run tonight. So shout out to him for that. Shout out to Brandon for doing a marvelous job with this Cup Series season, and for really venturing out and trying new things. I mean, adding some road courses in, some short tracks. I truly think that's made the broadcast probably a whole lot better and a whole lot more entertaining at times. Just action all over the track, and what a group of drivers we have this year. So shout out to Brandon and the league members and all the admins for that. Shout out to my teammates again, and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Without him, I wouldn't be here doing this today. So appreciate that, and appreciate you guys in the broadcast. I finally get to bring Green White Checkered into the top 3. How about that?
Yeah, so it was a hard fought one as well against that top 3, and that was the thing. So you've had some bad luck. You've obviously had some computer hiccups. I'll say that you've been trying to work your way through. You've had to unfortunately kind of tone down your computer setup to be able to even run that. So I mean, you had to make some adjustments too to what you're used to be able to make these races and run. So I mean, it just shows again like kind of the dedication that you see from everybody to make these things happen, to find ways to get things done. So. Yeah, just again, hats off, Maxwell. I'll say great job by you tonight to keep that thing in the right direction. I don't think I ever saw you have any too big of issues. So I don't know, maybe you're even able to get a clean race there tonight. So might get a couple bonus points your way as well.
In the dirt a couple of times. It was kind of hard. And I think lap 2, I came off those S's and just clipped the dirt enough for a 1X. And I was like, man, there goes the bonus points. So at that point, I just was like, you know what, just going to run my race here. But I think I only had maybe 1 or 2 of those. That was about it. But for Sonoma, I'll take that. No dents in the fenders. The fenders were clean. Lap traffic was cordial to me, and that doesn't normally happen a lot. So shout out to all the guys, and just, man, clean race at the road course. No matter where I finish, can't really complain, can I?
No, it was a great job. I saw a lot of give and take by battles for position, like I said, and also with the lap cars. And yeah, I mean, if you're going to go off track, do it early, get it out of your way. That way you're like, okay, you know what, forget it. Now I'm just going to go do my thing. I'm not going to worry about that 1X, and I can just race my race. So I say if there's a time to do it, it's going to be early on. So yeah, great job though, Maxwell. Congrats on that top 3. I look forward to seeing you in these final couple races before we get into that playoff run.
Good. Thank you guys for the broadcast. Appreciate all you and Dale do.
It's a pleasure. You guys make it fun to do. All right, Dale. Now we got to grab our number 63, our second place finisher of Logan Helton. Logan started from pole, just getting around Chad Wilkes there. I want to say it was by a couple of thousandths of a second, if I'm not mistaken. It was a hard fought for that kind of who's going to hold on to the lead on those first couple laps there. Obviously he got you just at the hairpin on initial line, and then from there, I mean, you were just on him that whole first run pretty much, and then just the very end of the run, I don't know if it was that maybe your tires giving out a little bit, or I'm not sure, but I mean you and Chad, you guys were put on a great show that first half of the race. Just neither of you giving an inch and still somehow running about a second or so quicker than the rest of the guys behind you.
Yeah, at the end, at the beginning, I wanted to get in front of him first to make him work to get around me, and if he got around me, I wasn't going to put up much of a fight, because I was trying to be smart to save my tires, my rear tires at least, and then I saw that he was doing the same, so then I kind of panicked a little bit, and I probably shouldn't have, because I was keeping up with him just fine, and I started to push it a little harder to try and get back up to him, maybe find a pass, and for some reason, every time I got to his bumper, I just lost him immediately for some reason. I don't know if it was dirty air or something, or maybe I just couldn't. I didn't have the talent or something to keep up with him that close. But for some reason, every time I got to his bumper, I just could not keep up with him. But and then whenever I spun out, that didn't help. And on those new tires, I feel like I could be faster. But he's just so much better with worn tires. So whenever I spun out, I felt like I threw away an opportunity to maybe catch him and to make it at least interesting at the very end there. But either way, I had a lot of fun racing at Sonoma.
Yeah, you guys, I mean, like I said, you guys put on just an awesome fight. And that was the thing though too. I mean, of course, unfortunately, you had that spin towards the end of the race. I think it was about maybe 10-15ish to go, or somewhere around that window. But the thing was, I mean, the pace you guys had, I mean, you guys were able to build up such a gap that even with that spin, you're still able to kind of still not have to even worry about that third place fight as well behind, because like I said, you and Chad are just putting down such great lap times there. Did you have any thoughts about maybe trying to kind of jump them on pit strategy, maybe try to pit like a lap or two early and use the fresh tires, or would you feel like the having the fresh tires at the end was going to be your best opportunity?
All the experience I've had in the road course racing, especially with the Cup car, is you never want to be the first one to pit, especially if you're behind, because that's what the leader wants the person behind them to do, even if they're right on their butt, is to just they want them to pit first because tires are just so important. And I don't know how realistic it is or what, but tires are so important at road courses in the Cup car, especially. So it's you almost always want to be the last one to pit. But if you have a big enough gap, it doesn't really matter. Um, but if you're the first place, you still would rather just be safe and be the last one to pit.
Okay, so basically, I mean, so it sounds like you and Chad probably ran until your fuel mileage pretty much kind of forced you to have to hit the pits there. With I think it was like I think you guys went about 25 or so before you hit the pits there. But I mean, yeah, again, just like I said, it was a lot of fun watching you and Chad go after it and say, obviously. A handful of places that obviously seem to be a trouble spot for everybody, but was there anywhere in particular that was kind of the most difficult spot for you tonight that you were having to try to work through?
I think for me, the two most difficult spots were just the first two corners of the S's, and the exit of the hairpin. Those were the two spots where I was losing the most time to why did I just forget his name?
Oh, I do that all the time. Don't worry. But yeah, no, to Chad.
Chad. To Chad. Yes, I don't know why I just forgot his name, but that's the two spots I would lose him the most, was the first two corners of the S's and the exit of the hairpin. Um, I tried maybe changing gears, like upshifting earlier to get more grip, and or easing into the throttle better for at least the hairpin. And I would be slower whenever I did that, so I had to just deal with being in first and getting on the throttle as smooth as I could. And I just couldn't figure out the S's without either getting tight or loose, so I just had to keep running the same line I was in practice, and it was just slower. But once you're in the race, it's too risky to try and think about figuring out a different line. You just got to stick to what you know.
Yeah, saying that, and you're exactly right there. Say once you kind of have something that works, it's tough to change mid race because you just don't know. Say one thing Dale and I were noticing, especially in turn 11 for you, you were able to run that turn a lot shallower, a lot like almost like over the curbs, almost up into the tire barriers, basically kind of shorten that turn a little bit. It did seem like that was, even though it was maybe one of your trickier turns, it seemed like you were actually able to really work that inside groove that little bit better as well. I was saying, is that just something you were able to find during practice, or is that something just you're trying to kind of run again, like maybe run a slight different groove to Chad to maybe just kind of show him in his mirror to show you're still there to maybe force into a mistake?
Um, Give me 1 second. I'm bringing up the track map to tell what number 11 is.
It's the hairpin at the end, yeah.
Yes, the hairpin. Okay, so I did feel like in the entry I was able to gain on him. It's just I was, if anything, even or a little bit slower on exit.
Yeah, and that's a big part of this track is getting those exits down the way you need to. I say it's a very difficult track, of course, with these Cup cars, very heavy, ton of power, and a very sandy, dusty track here at Sonoma. But like I said, you and Chad just put on a really good show tonight. It was a lot of fun to watch you guys wheel it throughout the race there tonight. But yeah, so I definitely got to give you the floor sign. I saw the Jimmy Crow Senior sticker on the quarter panel of the car, so obviously we've all been involved with a lot of his stuff before Area 51 kicked off. So I love seeing that there on my own side. So I really appreciate that one. But so of course I want to give you the floor though for any other thanks and shouts that you'd like to give for your run tonight.
Oh yeah, like you said about the Jimmy Crow Senior, I run that on my car. I try to run it on as many cars as I can, just because I wouldn't be here now. I wouldn't be running Road to Pro and in the position I am to possibly be in the Coke Series next year, without him and him letting me be in his league, the first league I ever was. But I gotta thank you guys for putting on the broadcast as well. Area 51 for letting me race tonight. Thanks to Nexus Esports, Splash and Good Graphics for the awesome paint scheme and putting that sticker on there. And I think that's it.
Yeah, it's a great run again though, Logan. Saying, yeah, good luck on the road to pro. Say definitely we've been trying to keep an eye and see how things are going for you. So I say we wish you the best. Say we'd love to see you in the Coke Series next season. It'd be fun to kind of see like one of our own, if you will, be able to make it to that group. So wouldn't be surprised, but I know it's going to be a lot of hard work, a lot of time, dedication there as well. So really appreciate you being able to race with us over here as well. And I say, yeah, good luck with the remainder of those road to pro races.
Well, thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too, sir. All right, Dale, that leaves us our race winner in that number 17. Say perfect timing because he is parked right on at the start-finish line, getting ready to do his burnouts there. All right, Chad, so I'm guessing not winning the pole by that couple of thousandths of seconds wasn't ideal for you. So I know you being a competitor, you were like, oh, yeah, I messed up here. It probably cost me a tenth or two, things of that nature. But, I mean, that first run, you and Logan, I mean, you guys were going after that first lap, trying to kind of who was going to be the one to lead and kind of set the pace there, it seemed like. And then from there, I mean, you had to fight him off for about that 20-something laps before finally you're able to build that little bit of a gap over him before the set of first pit stops. I mean, how tense were you that first run there?
There were a couple tense moments. I think I was just trying to what's the word? Modulate my pace, just kind of go up and down. Like I would run a 19.5 or 19.4, and then I'd try to drop it back down into the 18s, and then just try to like keep going back and forth just to keep them off balance and make sure that I kept my tires underneath me. And then I knew it was getting time to. I knew there was a certain point where he could have pitted, and that's when I was like, okay, it's time to start going a little bit to try to build enough of a gap so that if he pitted one lap ahead of me, or one lap before me, there probably would have been like maybe a 2.5, 3 second difference. So I wanted to build a little bit more than that. So, and at that point in time, I had to drop all the way down into the 19s, and on a last set of tires, that's difficult to do. So I would say the most tense is when he was actually kind of dropped back a little bit, because that's when I was trying to go my fastest on old tires, which is difficult around this place.
Yeah, so, yeah, you're exactly right. I say old tires, low fuel. It's definitely probably the most difficult time to really start trying to put some lap times out of those cars. I say again, we'll say a lot of guys were kind of pointing at you, of course, being a road course, like, all right, Chad's gonna be one to watch. But I mean, yeah, and it kind of felt like that way, like you're talking about towards the end of that run, where like you're almost trying to build that. Apologies, so I got some background noise in my ear. Sorry about that, guys. Where it looked like you like almost like you found another gear basically to go after it, to be able to build that gap over Logan, and say almost looked like at one point I say he kind of, I don't know if he was forced into the mistake by trying to keep pace with you there. But I mean, at what point did you feel like you were pretty comfortable? Was it leading into the pit stop, or once you got out and you saw you kind of had that couple second margin over him?
No, yeah, I would say I was comfortable throughout the first maybe 15 or so laps. There's a couple times he got close. Luckily, I was faster than him through the second half of the track, which is kind of the only chance you get out of one big run. And he did get a run at some point there on the first run, and just kind of took me deep into the braking zone. But I was pretty comfortable for the first 15. But, like I said, like I was running there in the first 15 laps, there are a couple times or multiple times where I, would drop it down into 19.4, 19.5, just kind of relaxing, cooling the tires off, saving everything, and try to throw them off a little bit and just try to yo-yo with them some. And then probably I'd say maybe not even lap 15, probably like lap 18 or 19, right when it started getting to that 20 lap mark where I knew he could pit. That's when I kind of started saying, okay, it's time to go. And at that point, a low 19, he wasn't able to match that. So I just wanted to keep trying to hammer that. And I know a couple times he was kind of getting squirrely there. So yeah, I mean, he's fast, but I kind of knew that it would be easier for me to pull away from him at the end than just absolutely bust it straight out the, with the green flag. We're both on new tires. I think I'm probably faster than him by a little bit, but it's way more dangerous to have to just kill it for 15 laps just to try to maybe pull out 2 seconds. When at the end of the run, if I could save, which I did, then I could pull it out a little bit faster and a little bit easier. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into the mindset, but those last few laps before the pit stop is when I was at my least comfortable for sure, because I was really I was digging there, and it's not super comfortable to have to run that fast on that old tires.
Yeah, I know. So you made it look easy. I say that's from where Dale and I were, at least. I say from what we saw, I say it looked like you made it definitely look like it was pretty easy thing to do. And so I don't know about you, Dale, but to me it's pretty wild to think you were just kind of trying to set a nice pace and take care of your tires and cruise. Because I feel like if I was on track with you, I'd be throwing everything I had to be within probably about 2 seconds of your lap time. So, like I said, I mean, obviously we know you're good on the road course races. I mean, you've been good everywhere. Especially this last few weeks, you've been on a huge tear lately. But I mean, obviously it seems like road course is definitely a little bit more in your one of your bigger strengths for sure here. We talked about, of course, your Sebring win, of course. I'm sure that comes into play as well with those being able to hit those long runs and just kind of manage your pace and kind of hit your lap marks lap after lap on for kind of obviously not a 40 lap race, not an endurance by any means, but say for cars like this, I'm sure takes a lot of attention and just focus to hit those laps. Turn by turn there.
Well, yeah. Well, one thing too. I mean, I knew that Logan was saving too, because like when I ran like a 19.5, I knew like there were multiple times where I could tell that he wasn't trying to get a huge run early in the run, because I was running 19.5s at times where I could have been running like 18 flats at times, and he wasn't, trying to kill me. So I think there was one time where I was like, okay, he's trying to make a move. He's using his tires a little bit. And so I had to try to pick it up a little bit, especially under braking. I was trying to save my fronts, and he got so fast under braking, and I was like, okay, it's time to start using them a little bit, which is what got nerve wracking. But I knew he was saving too. But when you're out in front, you can kind of do that. Like if I was behind him, so I knew it was so important to try to get out in front of him. I did screw up my qualifying lap, but I was fine because I knew if I just got around him early, then I could control everything. And as long as I could control everything, I knew I'd be okay. And I mean, Logan's obviously extremely talented, and he's good at all this stuff. And we've raced anytime he gets in here, we race around each other quite a bit, obviously. With him being fast, and we've always raced tough but super respectful. So I never have any worries that he's just going to pump me or anything. So I knew I could race around him and him not take me out or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. I do a ton of endurance racing. I do a whole lot more, road course endurance racing and sports car racing than I do ovals. I've got 6 hours of driving at Nürburgring coming up this weekend. Like, that's what I do. So if I'm not good at this, I'm not going to be good at anything. So I guess at this point, it's easy to figure out a lot of that stuff.
No, I say it definitely shows. Let's say the prowess you have at these road courses, especially with these cars. I saw that Nürburgring race coming up, and I balked on that one. I don't know that track. I don't think I'll ever be able to memorize it enough to feel like I can get through there without killing somebody. So I'll say good luck to you on that one. Say obviously going to be a tough one for you and your teammates to make happen. But also be fun to see what you're able to do there over there as well. But for tonight, though, I mean, congrats again, hard fought, well earned win this evening. So definitely got to give you the floor though. Any thanks and shots you'd like to give for pulling off that win tonight?
Yeah, thanks to the league, of course, for putting this on. I'm glad they do road courses now. I know that it's that they can be tougher for some of the other guys, But shoot, when we go to Bristol, I don't feel super comfortable. I have to figure that place out too. So I guess it happens. But so I just appreciate the league and everybody. I thought the lap traffic was very hairy at times in Watkins Glen, but I thought the lap traffic tonight was awesome. I mean, everybody pulled out the way, and this is a really hard track to be the slower car because there's really no safe place to get out the way. But I thought everybody around me did an awesome job. I'd had no worries racing around any of the slower guys or anything. So that was awesome. So thanks to all the drivers. Thanks for the league for letting us run here and run in different tracks that's closer to the NASCAR schedule. thanks to all the teammates and stuff who run with me and practice with me, Larry, Andrew, Ryan, Maxwell, Brandon, and then just everybody else. And then thanks for y'all for the broadcast. It's greatly appreciated. Y'all put in a lot of good work and do a good job.
I appreciate that, Chad. But yeah, congrats again, man. Great win this evening. Say enjoy this one. Say again, good luck over at the Nürburgring. I'm sure it'd be plenty of practice for you to, starting probably, I'm sure, either tonight or tomorrow to make sure you're kind of freshened up for that one. So I'll try to keep an eye on things on your side and how you're doing over there. But yeah, say enjoy this one and look forward to catching you again here soon, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Dale. So that is our race winner, Chad Wilkes, getting the win here tonight at an 11-turn track at Sonoma, 2 miles. So he's gonna have to go from here over to Nürburgring, which I can't even remember the number offhand. I know it's 100 and something turns at that track. So he's gonna have his work cut out for him over there. But we got to go over our final results for tonight. Of course, Chad Wilkes getting the win over Logan Helton. And then Maxwell Caldwell just holding off that 67 Larry Yingling. You see only the half a second between the two of them after 40 laps under green here at Sonoma. Andrew Pleshy still able to hold on to that top 5 finish even after that contact, after his pit stop. Brandon Plasalacqua brings it home in 6th. Gabe Butler 7th after starting from the pit, so great job by him. Michael Spell in 8th. Todd Merkel brings it home in 9th. Ryan Kelly does finish in the top 10. Unfortunately, something happened to him mid-race. He had to tow and then retire. Unfortunate, but hopefully he'll be back next week. We'll see if we find out what happened to him there. And then the remainder of the field here this evening, got Robbie Richards there in 11th, Nicholas Winook, Josh Schofner, Kyle Hess, Lewis Woodall, Quabi Brooks, and Roy Grandy rounding out our remaining finishers. Oh, we're going a little faster. There we go. All right, Dale. So 40 laps at Homestead. My words are all. I think I did too many lefts and rights here. I'm all discombobulated. But man, 40 laps here at Sonoma. It was a battle there, and as I said, Chad and Logan. They put on a really good show. And then then we had that great battle for third with Maxwell, Larry, and Andrew for that good portion of the race as well. That was a tough one tonight for these guys. We saw it scared a few people away, but then a lot of attrition as well. But the guys that stuck it out, they had a pretty good fight on their hands, and they put on a good show for us.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. It was an exciting race. Nice change of pace. I know Chad, obviously, he enjoyed it. I think the league's made some huge strides in the right direction, and I'm just happy to be part of it.
Yeah, it'll be fun to say. Next week, we are going to be at Kansas. That could be an interesting one to say for those 1.5 milers. That's usually one where the line kind of trends to the top side. So we might be seeing drivers fight for the top line over there, because we just got Kansas and Atlanta, and then that's going to lead into our final 8 races, or final 3 races, I should say, with the top 8 drivers. So it's going to be fun to see what they can do over there. So, of course, I hope you enjoyed this one. Congrats again to our top 3 and to all drivers that were able to survive this track tonight. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Happy Friday Eve. And, of course, as always, if you're able to, please try to stay home, stay safe, wash your hands, and until Sunday, have a good night.